Welcome to another episode of Reseller Evolution. I'm Scott.
And I'm Carl.
And we are on podcast number 19.
Yep.
What do you think of that, Carl?
Hey, it's been fun. I enjoy it. I look forward to it every week. For people who don't know, we spend an hour and a half or 2 hours before each show just babbling. So it's kind of nice to have that too.
Yeah.
And
this is a full-time day job, like a job just, well, I mean, we only do it 1 day a week, but
yeah,
like that, for that day, it feels like an 8-hour episode because
it's not only recording it. Yeah.
Then we do this, and then it needs to be edited. So
yeah.
But 19, podcast number 19. I'm still having a lot of fun with this. I'm learning a lot. I like hearing people's comments and stuff about it. So, I mean, before you know it, we'll be on podcast 100 in 19. So
there you go.
All right. So, today's episode, before we get into all that kind of stuff, we're going to read chats and see how our week was and stuff. But today's episode is going to be things that we pick up now that we know we missed in the past and we wish we knew then what we know now. And things that we should be looking for that we know we're not, but we probably should be looking for. And each of us are going to have different items for those things. But before we get that, Carl, how was your week?
The week is slow. Sales been slow. I had a new one this week, though. I feel like being negative each show, and I don't try to be. It's just things are happening, man. So I had a new one today. I was looking at my shipping, right? And I forget. Oh, I was making a receipt for someone. So I went on to Chit Chats just to look to see how much I paid for shipping. And one of my parcels is still pending for them to get it. And I dropped it off. Or I think I dropped it off. So now I'm like, yeah. So I trust them 100%. So I'm like, oh no, did they not scan it in? But then I saw the parcels I dropped off that day have like left the facility. So it would have been scanned when it left. So it's like, maybe I dropped it? Like it was a little too loose when I was bringing out the bag of like, I used an IKEA bag to keep my parcels. It fell out, or did it not get in the bag? Or did something happen? I have no idea.
Is it in your frunk of your car? The front trunk?
No, it is not in my frunk.
Because I worried about that before too, right? Like I'll put the parcels in the back, and then I'm like, how many did I bring? You know what I mean? Because I might go to Waterford to the antique store and then put stuff in there and then drop the stuff off after at the post office. But so I'll come home and I'll double check that. But you're saying that you actually have a parcel that's just not been scanned.
It's not been scanned in. I have no idea where it is. I don't know what happened to it. So it's like, and I was trying to remember, it's like, I think I only dropped off 4 yesterday and there should be 5, but I don't trust my memory. So it's like, oh no.
Do they not give you a receipt right then and there?
No, they don't. You just put it in a big bin. It's like I said, I've been doing this for like dropping things off for 3 years.
Okay.
This is the first time this ever happened. And I don't remember. I remember packing it. So unless I put it somewhere weird, like down here, that I don't know. So now I get to figure out what am I going to do? Like, would you contact the buyer?
I don't know. I think I would go to, is it Chit Chats or something you're saying?
Yeah, it's Chit Chat. So what I'm going to do
is next time I go there, I would talk to them and just say, listen, like, is there any way this could have got out? Because you know what? It might not have got scanned, but maybe it went out. Like, so.
Possible.
Right? So it's still going to get shipped out because it's got the address on it, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how it works in their system.
Or maybe what happens? No, I have no idea. Like, I don't even know what to do. So I'm going to search the car again just to make sure it's like not under the seats or something.
Or maybe just wait till the buyer says something and just let it go, because maybe the buyer like passed away and they don't even They won't even
Wait,
get it.
wait, you mean I lost his package and they happen to die in the time period that I lost his package? Well,
Yeah,
it'd be totally worth it. Just I know it's only $20, but
I'm being sarcastic, but maybe something goes where that person forgot they ordered it, or who knows what. You know what I
no,
mean? So,
no, I'm not gonna do that. I'd rather deal with it. So what? But I'm gonna give it. Like I just noticed this morning before the show. So it's a little messy around here a little bit.
but maybe you got it laying somewhere.
Yeah. I know I've caught myself doing that before, like putting it somewhere strange. It's like, what are you doing? Because like, don't misplace this stuff, especially with ADHD.
Yeah.
Like I put things down and I don't even realize I'm doing it. So it's just annoying. So there's that. Apart from that, like the week has been fine. How's your week?
Week's been good. I mean, the booth still does what it has to do. The weekends have been strong. During the week's been slow. Not bad slow, but just slower than what it was there for a while. But that was to be expected. I was surprised it was as busy as it was. So we'll go on from there. eBay. Ever since I made that phone call, I've been starting to get a few sales. I sold the Bolivar watch for $300, so that was a nice sale. I had 5 packages, one being from Etsy, out yesterday. I got 2 going out today. So I only have 500, 520 items. So what I need to start doing now that the booth is kind of somewhat getting to where it needed to be, is start focusing back on listing every day. Once I do that, I think the sales are going to be really good. Like, I mean, the economy could do anything at any time. I'm not going to just sit here and worry about that. I got to do my job and make sure I'm listing. And so far, I think everything's going okay. But I had a great weekend, 2-day auction, and really happy with what I got and the prices I had to pay for those things. So
I'm really upset about that. So watch Sunday because you're going to see some amazing stuff. And I'm a little tearful about how low of a price you're getting for and how much it's worth. I'm very jealous.
Well, it was a volume game at this one. There was just so much stuff, and they had to put it out in 2 days. There was lots of people there, but let's say roughly 6-hour auction each day. After 4 hours, a lot of people started leaving. So $5 per tray. Like there was tray lots and just it was really, really good. So really happy with that. However, there's a lot of things I was bidding on at the beginning and it was just going for ridiculous prices. So I think there's only so much money in the room, and once that gets out, I'll pick up the crumbs.
Yeah. I would leave. Like if I saw things going for such high values at the beginning, I might leave because I can't sit there. But you know what they say? In fact, this is not early bird gets the worm, but this is I don't even know what the terminology would be for this.
I think this one is just patience. By experience, I know a lot of stuff at the end starts going cheaper.
Yeah.
But one thing I like to do as well, and I would have sat there through the whole thing, and I have gone to auctions before where things are ridiculous, and I buy 1 or 2 things. When I talk about this one, like we filled Steph's car on the first day and my truck, and then the second day Steph had to work, so I went by myself and I just completely filled out the truck. I had no more room for anything in my truck the second day. Like it was like take things out of the boxes and shove them into holes type thing, right?
Did you put stuff in your frunk?
I don't have a frunk. I have a big V8 engine there, so a 4x4. There's no room in that.
Oh, too bad. You should get an electric vehicle. They can hold a lot more.
Yeah. But it's I was really happy with that. I'm kind of excited about it. And what I want to start doing is some more pre-records. I keep saying that, but I really want to do it and just I kind of have an idea of how I want to start doing this, but really want to show a lot of things that I bought here. So I kind of digressing here. So what I wanted to say is, so another thing I like to do is stay at these sales, even though they're a little bit heavy priced, because I like to see some of the stuff that you don't really see often, and I like to see what people are willing to pay for it. You know what I mean? So if I see it, just builds on my experience. So sometimes sitting there for the knowledge and knowing that I'm not really going to get anything is benefit. But in this case, I ended up doing both. I just saw a lot of things go for big prices, and
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I was able to pick up a lot of really good stuff for very cheap.
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate to be able to have gone to this auction, and yeah, it is what it is, and we'll move on.
Yeah,
and
and like for people who might be just there might be some people who are just on Spotify. If if you want to physically see all the amazing stuff that I get very jealous about that Scott picks up, he has a show every Sunday, Scott on Scott sells stuff, and he'll show you, 5 of the top items or groups of items. So it's definitely worth going in to watch that. 8 p.m. Eastern time.
yeah,
Also,
every Sunday. Thanks for that,
every
Carl.
Sunday. And for myself, I've been doing lives 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., but I only do them when I feel like them. And for me, it's just listing. It's all like, it'll be cheap stuff, it'll be semi-cheap stuff, but it just helps me list, to be honest. Like when I do a show, I do it for about 45 minutes and I'll list about 12 things, and it's better than listing nothing. So I just
And
do those when I feel it.
what's the channel called,
That's
Carl?
Carl the Lazy Reseller on
Carl the
YouTube.
Lazy Reseller.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty catchy name. That's a good name.
You know, the funny thing is, my main Google account is now being switched to that.
Oh,
And now I was like on a call for like a trip I'm taking, and it says Carl the Lazy Reseller in the title. It's like I was wondering what people think of that. But it's like, okay, whatever.
yeah. Hey, it's free advertising though.
I guess so, eh?
All right. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say. Like, not everything I'm going to be able to show on my Scott Sell stuff that I got at this auction, but I'll show a lot of it. A lot of it's going to go to the booth. But there is one item. I won't say what it is. I'm going to save it for my fifth, number 5 item this Sunday. And I paid $10 for it, and the comp is $1,600 and change, like $1,650 or something like that.
Wow.
So I didn't even know that it was going to be worth that much. I figured at least a couple $100, but very happily surprised on that one, and I only paid $10. So we'll see. See how many people show up to that one, and if you do come into the live, start chatting it up, leave comments. With yours as well, you do the live, so you can make comments on Carl the Lazy Reseller as well.
Yeah, especially if you're from Spotify, it'd be cool because it's like a separate audience really than the YouTube one too. It'd be nice to see. So, should we talk about comments from our last episode?
Sure. I think we only have one this time,
but it's from Randy, so it's really good.
Yes.
So I'll do it. So
okay. Last week's show was about items we no longer buy. So that's what his topic is of this comment is going to be about.
Exactly. I no longer buy glass or ceramics. Slow seller online. I tend to damage them, and it's not my thing. No clothes. I don't like measuring. Hates to stop selling caps, baseball caps, but nobody wants to pay the shipping. Thanks for another great video, Randy. And Randy's in Canada too, so we can relate to that stuff. I love if we had one issue I've been having is I have these beer cozies, but I can't ship them for less than $7 Canadian. I don't know how many people are going to buy a beer cozy for like $7 plus $7 shipping. So I can relate to that. I no longer buy glass or ceramics. So I will buy glass and ceramics myself, but it has to be worth it. Like if it's not worth ballparking at least $80 plus shipping, I probably won't pick it up because it depends. It's like if it's a mug, I don't mind selling mugs for $30 because I know how to pack those quickly. But I find I have had, Randy says I tend to damage them and it's not my thing. I've had problems with ceramics breaking, especially if I'm shipping more than one in a box for some reason. They push against each other, or I'm trying to save a little space and I make a mistake. How about you? Will you sell ceramics and glass online?
Well, I'm going to assume he's not talking about pottery, so I'm going to kind of just stick with the glass and ceramics because
Right.
I will buy them, and it's kind of a 50-50 for me. It's got to be the right kind of look, the right maybe theme to them. But I don't really have to worry about the shipping so much because I can throw them in the booth.
Right.
You know, if I'm wrong on the price, I'll throw them in the booth if they're not as worth what I thought they were. Like there's some McCoy pottery that I picked up. It closely resembles ceramic in its look and stuff. So I'm gonna put them in the booth because people like their McCoy stuff, but it's not really worth shipping just because of the weight and the size and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So shipping from Canada is much more expensive than shipping from the U.S. So I responded to Randy on this that if I was strictly online, that I'd probably pull way back on that stuff, right? And I do pull back as it is because I don't want my booth filled with that stuff, and they can be a long, it could be a little bit before people buy them. So you really have to price them cheap, like out of the booth, and then people will be there to get them. But I would pull back way back if, like I said, if I was just strictly online and didn't have the booth.
Yeah, like I think some things do really well online, like Starbucks mugs, for example, is a classic one. There's a lot of collectors for it. A lot of people will buy it online. You're not going to get that local person probably willing to pay the prices that some Starbucks mugs demand.
Yeah, I think mugs I might classify mugs a little differently too, because just for what you're saying, there are like I got a Davy Crockett Anchor Hawking milk glass mug that goes for about $30.
Yeah,
I won't get that out of the booth, so I'm going to put that online. It's in great shape. The imagery isn't all scratched up or anything like that, so it'll be good online.
yeah, that's
I
the
mean, technically
disadvantage.
it's considered glass, but I think I would categorize that almost differently than glass. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
and it's not overly heavy either. Mugs usually aren't overly heavy, where some glass can have like a big thick bottom base, and it can get very heavy.
Oh,
So
yeah, like a vase for
yeah,
flowers and stuff like that. Yeah.
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 So I can see Randy's point, but just because of the booth, it gives me a little bit different perspective on glass and ceramics. Again, I like to kind of stay older, or I don't even know how to say this, but more like if I saw Flintstone ceramics or somebody made a Disney or something like that, I might grab that as well, just because people know
Yeah.
what it is, right? But
Yeah.
it's not going to go for big money to put online. And again, they're usually a little bit weight to it. But cookie jars, like I'll sell them out of the booth. Like I'll do ceramic cookie jars. So, like I say, there are things that I will pick based on theme and what it is. But for the most part, I would agree with Randy too.
Yeah. For example, yesterday I came across some jadeite teacups, which were kind of nice, but they just didn't command enough value for me to sell them online with the shipping. I think they were $8 each, and they would have sold for maybe 25 each online. And it's just like, it's not worth my time. If I had a booth, I would have picked them up because I could have sold them each for $20 at least in the booth.
Yeah.
I don't have a booth, so I think the other thing you mentioned here is clothing. I don't like clothing. It doesn't excite me at all. Like I'd rather do a glass vase because it's easy than doing all the measurements. Now that being said, in the show we're going to talk about stuff that we should pick up, and that might be one of mine.
So yeah, he did mention clothing and caps. I pick them up all the time. Caps, I'm thinking he's talking about like trucker hats, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, baseball caps is what yeah.
So I grab that stuff all the time. Again, it's condition and it's theme. And I know people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter about condition." You know what? Try selling something that's in rough shape. I don't have luck with it. So condition does mean some. I mean, I think theme is more important than condition in a very small percentage, but for the same, like I think condition is important as well. Or you're looking at returns, complaints, that kind of stuff. And it's a lot more listing and pictures and explaining. So condition is definitely one of them. Age and content. Clothes, I'm starting to dive into. I'm starting it.
I
That
see
goes
one
into
behind
today's
you.
topic. That's part of today's topic here. Those are something that we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but you're not picking up modern clothes generally. You're picking up vintage stuff, right?
Totally vintage, but it certain looks. Well, okay, let's say 90% vintage. Like if I see a brand new pair of jeans with tags and they're like $200, I'm buying them. I forget the brand name, but I picked one. It's got a big M on the back. It goes all the way up the one leg. It almost looks like a McDonald's M. It's actually seagull. It's referred to as seagull print.
Okay.
But it's I sold those for like I think I got $150, but they do go for two, three, $400 for those jeans. So there, and it was new. There were newer jeans. So there are cases where I will pick up newer clothing. What are you thinking, Carl?
Yeah, I don't know. It's my week. It's just I'm worried about for clothing. I'm worried about returns because they don't fit.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the fact that when I go to thrift stores, there's like a trillion people looking through clothing. I'm worried about. I'm not very good at seeing damage, like detail. I'm not a detail person, so missing damage on clothing. I'm worried about. But I kind of like where would I rather spend my time because I have to enjoy this too. And there's a whole bunch of categories that we're about to talk about that I'd rather kind of get into than clothing. But
Well,
I think you know baseball caps is a little different. Like I don't really count that as clothing for some reason. I just have never come across anything that I thought I would pick up. But if I saw something obvious, then yeah. But I don't look.
okay. Well, hey, what better time to get into our topic then, Carl? And what's the topic? It is well, we got two topics. So the first one is things pick up now that we know we missed in the past. So if we had our knowledge back, 5-10 years ago, 5 to 8 years ago, because I've been doing it for 8 years, things that I would have picked up that I know I missed. What about you?
So one thing I've been getting into more and more is like art and oil art. And I have picked up a few pieces. I haven't hit any home runs, but I definitely, for the longest time, I wouldn't even look at that wall where all the art is or scan it. And even though I have a really good friend of mine here in Ottawa who's been teaching me about art, very appreciative. And I know some basics about art. Like, one of the first things you do is kind of flip to the back of the frame and see how old the paper is on the back. You feel the art to see if it's actually 3D and stuff like that. But that's definitely something in the past I was just not even really even looking at. But I think with art, there can be an occasional home run. And so what I'm doing now is picking up art. And even if it's like amateurish or not the best, I'm still picking up stuff that's good. I'm not going to pick up just any oil painting. But right now I'm just putting it on my walls. So the last piece I picked up, we actually put it above our fireplace. And it's a nice enough piece, but it's just kind of like a start. And because sometimes the art at the thrift store is actually not that expensive. It can be $10, $15, $20, which is more than the average thing in a thrift store, but still for, a piece of art could be worth $200, $300, $400, $500. That's worth it. You just have to be careful that you don't want to just pick up art willy-nilly and never sell it. And that's, or get stuff where there's no demand or stuff where it's like there's 1,000 pictures of this forest and no one cares about this, right? You have to, but part of that is learning too. So that's one thing I'm starting to pick up. I would not pay a lot for it because there are reproductions that actually have a physical, like I have a Van Gogh upstairs and it's physical paint on top, right? It has all the 3D feel to it, but obviously I know it's not Van Gogh, a real one, right? So you have to be a little careful with that.
Yeah, I think art would be a category for me in a way. I know when I first started, I'm like, oh, somebody will like that. Oh, somebody will like that. Somebody will like that.
Yeah.
So I'm picking up all these like silly little things that nobody bought, and I'm like, okay, nobody likes art, so I'm not going to buy it anymore. And then I realized just over time that actually art is a really good thing. You just have to kind of develop an eye of what is sellable.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be like I've had pieces of art, and I'm talking paintings in this case, that are really well done and they sit. And I've had stuff that is abstract or kind of like folk arty and those
Yeah.
things do the best. Like like in a lot of cases. Um, and again, look at the back of the frame. I'll even pick up prints. I've picked up prints, some old posters,
Yeah.
but it's really the content. I just sold. It's a 1970s poster, has a swear word, and then it has housework in it. But it was very creatively done. It
Yeah.
was signed, but it was a print sign. It wasn't like an actual inked signature, but it let you know who the artist was. Anyway, so I put it in a frame that I had nothing into, just at home, and I put it in a frame, put 85 bucks on it, and it sold in a week. Like, it sold very quickly, but it had that very gothy kind of interesting
Yeah.
look with a great message, and people like that. Um, I like to pick up original native, like it can be in the form of an oil or a pastel, or it could be a screen printing. You know what I mean? And I've done
Yeah.
well with those. I've even picked up some prints too. That, and this is all I've learned lately. But even prints, like it was in a really nice frame, but it was had a wooden back, and so it was old. It was probably early 1900s, probably actually went into the later 1800s. It was a religious theme, but it had a really, really nice look, and I got 300 bucks for that. So you pick it up cheap, like you said. I can get that at auctions in a bundle. You know what I mean, for 5-10 bucks, or I can get it usually at yard sales for next to nothing. Um, but it's
Yeah.
really, I'm picky. Where when I first started,
Picky.
I wasn't
Yeah.
picky, and then I just said, okay, nobody wants this, so I stopped looking. So it's definitely something that I've missed just because I wasn't knowledgeable or understanding of what people are looking for,
And I think it's like you said, you develop an eye for it over time, and that
and a
can
knowledge
be
base too. Like,
and knowledge.
I think they're kind of hand in hand, because there might be stuff that I really like that nobody cares. You know what I mean?
No.
I could
That's why
say,
this
wow,
stuff.
that was really well done, but
Yeah.
nobody cares. And it's like you said, somebody could get a real nice forest image, but there's thousands of those things out
I
there.
know.
So now we got to look at, is the artist famous? I don't want to look into the artist. I want to pick something quickly that I think has good content that people will like, and that way, if the artist is somebody, it's a double whammy, like good thing.
Yeah.
And if the
Gamble.
artist isn't
Yeah.
known, at least
Yeah.
somebody will pick it up because of the imagery and the theme.
Yeah. I think that's all true. And like, I think the other thing you have to be careful with art is they produced a lot of it.
A
And
lot.
99% of it is like, even if it's like you said, well done by an artist, doesn't mean it has value. I think, I have some prints around here that are 200 years old, but that doesn't mean they have value either. They produce a lot of it, right? Because you didn't have television, you didn't go on trips. You had cheap access to prints. Well, that's what you did. You covered your walls in prints. So
And it can be expensive to ship because of the size.
yeah,
So if you're selling it online, if it's a oil painting, usually there's no glass, like there's not supposed to be glass, but it could be a pastel or a watercolor. It could be a print. There's going to be glass there, so you want to make sure that glass isn't going to break. So there's there are a lot of different things can come into play, especially if you're shipping it. I have the advantage of the booth, so I sell a lot of stuff out of there. Even prints and paintings of like warplanes and airplanes and stuff like that. We have people that collect that kind of stuff, or they might have military collection and they want a nice painting to kind of you know enhance their collection room. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So um, yeah, so all that kind of stuff comes into play when I decide about art. But is that it for you on that one?
yeah. I
Okay.
think
Well, I have one here. One thing that I know I missed in the past, and Randy commented in it, so I'm going to start off with this one. Is I never looked at clothing in the past, and when I say clothing, I'm not going out and buying bins and bins of it. I'm not, Jamie from Thrift on Fire. I know he's pretty much very comfortable with picking clothing, and I'm not. I'm not even near that. But I know enough to pick up like a really cool jacket that might have military on it, or it might have a sports team on it, and it's from the 70s. I'll definitely look at rock shirts from,
yeah.
especially concert
Oh yeah.
tour shirts that are from a while ago. Anything with wrestling on it, that's old vintage. And I'll pick up, colorful stuff that screams 70s or 60s or,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like it's so obnoxious that it's just, it's from that era and somebody's going to love it, So I'll grab that stuff. Now and then I'll pick up jeans. I picked up jeans just because they'll have like forbidden written in kind of gothic
Yeah.
font. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff goes well. Big imagery embroidered on the pockets, on the back pockets, that kind of stuff. If I can pick it up for a couple of bucks, I'll take it home and research it because usually that kind of stuff. But I can't tell you an authentic pair of jeans for the most part from a non-authentic one. So
Right.
and that would be something where my knowledge is limited, but I'm starting to look, and I know I never even looked at that past. And you can, not only that, you can find usually jackets, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
Carhartt and different things like that have crazy values. You know what I mean, considering what you could pick it up for. And I was walking right by the clothing racks and stuff that people had out for yard sales, but not now. I'll give it a quick look for sure, and hopefully my knowledge grows.
Yeah. I'm not willing to touch that quite yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. I'll think I'll work on the other categories first. Uh, just because I'm worried about buying the clothing and then just not wanting to deal with it. But I can see myself, especially for the smaller things like caps, maybe even shoes, because I know there's some valuable shoes out there and I'm not really looking. Jeans, if they have tags, I can see myself selling that. But I know about concert t-shirts, but I think in the general, most of the clothing I see is like just women's clothing. And I think if I was going to learn the category, I would just actually concentrate on men's clothing, which is kind of funny.
All right, Carl. What's your second item?
So another category for me, and I knew this stuff had value, was DVD VHS recorders. Now, I kind of ignored them because they're big and heavy and bulky. But now, when I go to thrift stores, I'll actually look on that aisle for that stuff. And before I just kind of ignored it because I didn't even really want to see it. Because if I saw something good, valuable there, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to deal with it. But now I do pick it up. However, they have to be worth $100 plus. If it comes with the remote control, sometimes I'll tape the remote control to it. I'll definitely look a lot closer. That being said, you still have to look at the model because I looked at one yesterday that had the remote control and still was only worth like $40. But some of the really good ones can be worth $100, $200. I think you sold a really good one once. Your recorder one, right?
I haven't listed it yet.
You haven't listened, but it's still really good, high
Is
value.
that the parts and repair one you're talking about that I showed a couple of weeks ago?
No, this is one you've had for you showed this maybe even a year ago.
Oh,
maybe it's in and out already, but
yeah, maybe. Which a recorder?
Yeah, a DVD recorder.
Oh, I sold that out of the booth. Well, hang on. There's two of them. There's one that it was brand new in the box. Is that the one?
Yeah, I think so. It was worth good money if I recall.
I think I got $500 for it, and I
That's
sold
good
that
money.
I sold it on Etsy, but it was brand new in the box.
Brand new, $500. So if you don't look, you can't even find that $500 one, right?
You're 100% correct, and I don't mean to interrupt for you, but it was one of those things I 100% agree. I wouldn't even known about, and I'm not sure how I knew about like the new in the box or worth so much money.
Yeah,
and this is the second one I found, and yeah, so it was like, soon as you see it, you just like, I gotta get it. How do I get this?
How do you get this? Yeah, and for me, it's like if I'm not doing a category, I try not even look at that shelf.
Yeah,
it's weird. I get like tunnel vision, and I'm trying to add that on because I had a bad experience just recently with DVD, but DVD VHS player. But honestly, I shouldn't let that stop me. But like I said, it has to be worth good money because like these things can cost $30 or $40 to ship. They could be mechanical issues. They could be, I call them wetware issues, which is the person on the other end doesn't know how to use a VCR. But I've brought them back in, and I have one I have to list over there. So, what about you? What's your next category for
Okay,
Things
so
you used to pick up.
something I pick up now that I missed in the past, and I know I
Yeah,
did, is books.
books.
And yeah, so I've been doing this for 8 years, and probably in the last 2 years, I started picking up books. Books is something to me that if it wasn't Stephen King, I wasn't interested because the only thing I really knew was Stephen King. I read that as his stuff as a kid. I
Yeah,
like his movies, but there's so much Stephen King out there. It's you got to be very, very, you know, if you see a signature in it, I'm picking it up for sure. But first editions can do okay, but they might be a long tail item. A lot of that stuff out there, but um, you know this story, Carl. I was at a private pick. There was a personal library in there. I bought all 3,000 plus books for $1,000, and I've done so well with that pick.
you
I've learned,
overpaid. You
I've learned
overpaid.
so much, and I am not afraid to touch books. I've even picked up books for $30 and sold
Yeah,
them for like 120, $130. Um, well, that's pretty much where you know a lot of books are probably within the $60 to $150 range. Very rarely do they get much higher than that, but they do.
right.
Um, but I'm not afraid to put $30 into a good condition, Bible or something like that. Like that's old. Um, Again, you got to worry about shipping because shipping can be very, very troublesome as far as the weight is concerned. So you have to kind of make sure that there's enough meat on the bone for that because you're probably going to have to eat $10. Like it might cost you 25, but you can't charge 25 shipping because no one's going to buy it. So you might have to charge like $15 shipping, and you're going to eat $10. But if you're still making $50 on a book, it doesn't. You don't have to worry about it breaking. You can usually pack it very easily and find
Yeah,
boxes to fit it very easily. So it's still worth it. Um, but definitely all sorts of books. They sell out of the booth like crazy. Again, it's very, condition is a big, big deal, as well as content. So I just don't go pick out books and think I'm going to get $50. You really have to kind of learn it. And I'm so fortunate to have learned what I have learned.
yeah,
I know there's much more for me to learn, but I mean, you can start off just looking for manga. You know what I mean? You can start off looking for
yeah,
um, Bibles. You know what I mean? That
yeah,
kind of stuff, and
yeah.
slowly graduate. Pick up a lot. Like if you can pick up a box of books that seem to be good content, and there's one book in there like a Bible or some manga, you'll probably get your money back at the very end of the day and learn a little bit. Maybe try that strategy, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, books are another one of those categories where it's really wide and no one knows everything. And you could pick up a book, you'll never see that book again ever in your life
yeah,
because they just made so many of them. Like here in Ottawa, we can pick up books. I can go right now and get a box of random books for free. I still don't though, because it's just so bulky and uh you know, a lot of people make good money on the books. There are people who use UPC scanners. I think I want to learn more about books because to me it's kind of interesting too, and just have some tidbits. Like there are there's a YouTube channel, it's CD Flips, Galaxy CD Flips. I listen to his podcast, and he talks about books, and he picks up a lot of books that don't have UPC codes. He says that's where his niche is because there's not, people can't just scan them up.
right. And I would tend to be in that group as well.
Yeah. So no, books are great.
Yeah, and one thing that I've learned about books, that helped me learn about books, is the booth, because I can buy a bunch of older books and I can put them in the booth for $5. So if I pick up, I don't know, 20 books for $20, and I can put 15 of them in the booth for $10 or $5 a piece, I'm making money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe condition is bad, I'll throw the other ones out. There might be one or two in there worth 50, $60 or $100. But I'm learning. You don't have to spend a lot of time on them. Once you've researched a few of them, you quickly learn how to research them. And it's like, for instance, I went to an auction. I paid $10 for 3 books, which I would never have done in the past, and they were on the Great Lakes. They're from 1904, and I thought, Okay, like just my gut instinct is I can sell them out of the booth and make a little bit of bucks, and if they're worth some money, I'm going to sell them online. They're not worth a lot. They're worth about $15 a piece. I can't sell them online, but I can put all three of them in the booth, and they will definitely sell for $10 a piece because they're on the Great Lakes. I live near Lake Erie, so
Yeah.
the Great Lakes are important around here, and I'll get $10 a piece for them. There's $30. I have $10 into them, so I after commission I double my money. You know what I mean? But I've learned it's and I'd probably do that again because I know they're in good shape. That was important. But I overlooked books in the past. I will buy books now, and I wished I would have known in the past because I can't imagine what I passed up on. Okay, and I do have one more for this category too that I like to mention. Was something that I used to not pick up in the past, but I'm starting to pick up now. And again, I'm a little bit picky on it, and I can only do it because I am selling online, and that's items for parts and repair. So there's items that I will pick up now
Mm,
just for the parts,
yeah.
where in the past I wouldn't do that. Again, there was a banjo clock. It's probably early 1900s, late 1800s, um, and it didn't work. And the glass was missing on the front. But I can sell the eagle on the top of this thing for about 30, $40. I picked it up for five because it's beat up. Nobody wanted it. I can sell the hands on the face of the clock. I can sell
Yeah.
them for about 30, $40.
Yeah.
There's the pendulum. There's parts in it. And the glass is still really good. So I could probably
Mhm.
somehow take the glass out. I could probably sell the glass inserts because those things are probably broken on many, banjo clocks. Um, and there's even some metal side pieces that I saw someone selling, and I think they got $60 for them.
Oh
And they're
wow.
yeah, so I can really part this out. I wouldn't have done that, probably a year ago, let alone 5 years ago when I first
Yeah.
started. I will definitely pick things up just for the parts and repair.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good category too.
Okay, Carl. So things we should be looking for that we know we should be looking for, but for some reason we just aren't doing it.
So one category for me, and I'm still not doing it, is high-end coffee machines. I know they're out there. I know they can be worth hundreds of dollars. Speaking of parts and repair, even if they don't work, you can sell all the parts for good money. And I just haven't been doing it. Like, I kind of wish I before the show I looked up some brands just so I could say, but I haven't looked them up. But you know, uh, and you're going to see coffee machines everywhere. You see them at garage sales. You'll see them in the thrift stores, even on Facebook Marketplace. And yeah, maybe it's a category I should be adding. It's
Yeah,
not thrilling.
that is something I is way out of my knowledge base. It's not even remotely what I'm able to even look at. I couldn't tell you $100 coffee maker from a $2 coffee maker to a $500. I couldn't tell you. So I don't even know what a good coffee maker would even sell for. Would it be in the $500 range?
I think so. I'm just doing a really quick look here. I think Mr. Coffee is one of those brands often. But the
I'm
thing is, you can't just say like the name because some of the times it's worthless and sometimes it's not. Like, that'd be kind of an I'm not saying we're going to do this, but one interesting show would be to pick some categories and kind of go, here, we've researched this category. Here's some really good ones. Like here, I'm looking at this one coffee maker pre-owned and it's sold for 100 American plus shipping. So there's definitely stuff out there.
Yeah, especially if you
And,
pick it up for $5 on an estate sale, right?
and also it might be one of those categories where there's gold amongst all the trash.
Right.
And I personally, I love those categories because if a lot of thrifters or like resellers are going like, I'm not going to look at the coffee makers. Like, why would I bother my time doing that? Well, maybe there's a chance it still might be on the shelf when you actually get there.
And something we kind of talked about earlier is the parts and repair. You might be able to pick something up and sell the
Yes.
parts if they're
Yeah,
that expensive, right?
exactly. And it's a little different, for me, it's just something you can actually find. Like you all, you obviously don't go buying up all the coffee makers. You have to spend some time teaching yourself the category. But what about you?
I'm going to say shoes.
shoes. Yeah.
I've dabbled in it. I've bought a couple pair here and there. I sold. I think I bought three once, and I sold one of them. Definitely made my money back with a little bit of profit, even if you include all three that I purchased.
Yeah.
But I don't know brands. I don't know a fake. Like if it's a Jordan, I couldn't tell you if
Yeah.
it's
Well,
fake or if it's real.
yeah.
Uh, it's just something that I have no knowledge on. I know I should be picking this stuff up. I see all this stuff in the yard sales all the time, but I'm afraid to get a negative or a ding through eBay. I don't know. I think now Adam was saying how they got some sort of authentication program,
Yeah.
so maybe that can help out a little bit and get a little peace of mind. But it's one thing that I know I should be looking into, but I just haven't got to yet.
Yeah. Adam actually showed a pair of shoes he picked up at the last Sunday show. And he's like, I don't know if these are authentic or not, but at least with this way, he sends them off and it's someone else's job to authenticate it. So it's a bit of a risk, but when shoes sell for a couple $100,
Yeah. And if you can pick them up for $5 or less, which is normally what happens at yard sales, you're laughing. Even thrift stores, you can get them for under $10 in a lot of cases, right? So,
yeah.
oh, I actually did pick up a pair of shoes once. You know what? I sold it for $150, and they go for way more than that. But I just didn't know what to do with it. It's a French name. They got a red bottom sole, and it's big. It's I forget what it is. It's like a French name, but they're very sparkly, or they could have spikes. But these particular ones sold around the $500 range, pre-owned condition. New, they're up to $13, $15, $2,000. And I sold I think I had $150, and it sold very quickly. Again, I paid $5 at a yard sale for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So, maybe I should write it down, and get the shoe brand name, but I'll look for these type of shoes, and that's about all I look for, because I don't know authentic Nike or not. I didn't even know that where these were authentic or not, but the leather inside the shoe said Paris, and when it felt real, like it was a nice soft. It was an amazing feel leather inside, and outside looked like something Michael Jackson would do the moonwalk in. You know what I mean? Like they're very crazy looking, but
that's the sort of thing you develop over time. Like we've talked about before, is like you develop a sense for quality, even if it's a category that you're not that familiar with. Just a little bit of experience goes, okay, this is something different. This is something unique. Having it, if you see made in USA or made
and
in
it's a woman's
Germany
shoe, so
yeah.
it's kind of again a thing. But it was really a sneaker. Like it's not even like it was a legit sneaker. But it was very glittery, and But you're right. You develop a bit of an eye for wow, that's leather. It's Paris. It's $5, and it's
I'll take the
sparkly.
risk. Yeah,
So
it's
I got to get $30 for it for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, what's your next one there, Carl?
So collector plates. I think everyone should be but plates. Now we're talking about categories we don't currently pick up in, and we look at. Now, I think it was in the last show I was talking about. My eyes have been opened a little bit by Two Dogs Digs picking up plates that can sell for $40 or $50 a plate.
But are these collector plates or not collector plates?
They're not collector plates. They're just designer plates. Collector plates have a certain look to them.
Yeah.
Not talking about those. So the problem is this is another category, very wide, where 99% of the items are worthless, but that 1% might be really good, and it might still be there because a lot of thrifters are not going to look up plates. Now, I'm not going to pick up anything that's worth like $20 each because the shipping is such a pain in the butt.
So are you talking like fine bone china? Yeah. Are you talking about full flow blue? Are you talking about like
modern plates? I'm talking about almost
plates you would eat off of?
Yeah, just modern plates. Right. And I actually saw a flow blue yesterday, but it had no value, which is kind of funny. But I was looking at the plates. it's kind of general, like I understand, but it's another one category that you can, when you see it, you'll know to look it up. You'll know to flip it over. It's not just a white plate. It's not just like a very simple design around it. You'll go, oh, what's that? What's different? And if you're not looking at the category, you don't even realize what will come out and grab you. Now, that being said, it's a new category for me, and so I haven't really picked up anything. But there is good stuff out there, and yeah, it can be a pain in the butt, and you might be sitting on it for a long time. But if it's there anyways, it's just so hard to. It's a hard one because you want it. Probably condition makes a huge difference.
Condition makes full difference in my mind on that kind of stuff. I do pick up stuff that says Ironstone or made in England and it's older.
Yeah.
And I will piece it out for sure. Have you ever dabbled in that, or do they talk about that kind of stuff?
Well, I've done that kind of like, I've pieced out like cutlery, like silver plated cutlery.
Yeah. Ironstone though is like a bone china from England. Like it's Ironstone brand. Like it's not really a brand. But you'll see that on the back of dishes and stuff. It's kind of older stuff, but Ironstone stuff can be very collectible. And pattern matters a lot.
Matters a lot. Like I was talking about those teacups, the jadeite ones I saw the other day. The patterns I had were worthless, but if they had like shafts of wheat on them, they would have been $200.
Yeah,
but they weren't that. So yeah, all patterns can make a difference. If I'm thinking about adding that as a category simply because there's less competition. Like a lot of the stuff I pick up is easy to look up on my cell phone, and that stuff is getting harder to find. And this stuff is not quite as easy. It's almost like I said before, it's not knowing how to look up something, is knowing what to not look up and screen out as much as you can. So when you do look up stuff, there's a higher chance of finding stuff, and a bit of knowledge goes a long way.
Yeah, I do pick up that kind of stuff. I kind of like Minton might be one that I pick up that it has to be a certain pattern or a certain look. It has to kind of catch my eye. But another thing to pick up in that category too, Carl, and I don't know if they've talked about it, but in dish sets, or you can get tea sets, you can get plate sets, like plates and cups and saucers and all that kind of stuff. But some of the mid-century modern stuff can be very, very good.
Yeah.
Right? Like atomic, what do they call that?
Yeah.
Atomic burst.
Sunburst, yeah.
Sunburst and stuff like that. Like it can be very crazy valuable. Yeah. And not just in the plates and stuff, but even in the glasses, the tumblers, like drinking glasses and stuff.
Yeah. That's another category too, is like like just talking about it now. And it's funny how like you research something and then kind of forget about it. And for me, that's crystal glasses. Cause like here at the thrift stores, they put all the clear glass together.
Yeah.
But within the clear glass, there can be crystal, because to most people, it looks exactly the same. But I haven't done a lot of that, but I have made money off those glasses now that I think about it.
I've gotten so tired of looking at crystal that I don't even look anymore, and I know I probably should be, but it's just
mind-numbing.
You have to know what you're doing to be able to just pick it out with your eye, and I'm not even close to that. So I kind of like my eyes glaze over, my head starts to hurt.
Me too, crystal. And at auctions, it just goes for nothing.
Like, it goes for nothing because nobody wants to deal with it. And then you get it home and you broke it, or it's cracked, or something stupid.
Oh, there's a chip, or So, but hey, if you're willing to do it, I guess it's like
you know what's good though. Well, it might be a little bit heavy to ship, but
lead crystal,
If you can get those decanters, because I'll pick up the decanters. Because if I'm paying $5, I'll sell it in the booth for $20-25. But if it's a signed Waterford Crystal decanter, then you scored huge, right? So that's what the booth helps me do too, because people will pick up decanters all the time. Like they're a good sell. But if you got one that's really good, you can throw that online, right? So, but so is that it for that one, Carl? I got another one here.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay. I think one of the things that I know I should be looking at, but I don't yet, and it's not fully that I don't look at it, but is jewelry. And I
Oh
kind of
yeah.
look for silver and gold. I know Trifari. I know there's a
Oh
Sherman,
yeah.
but I can't. My eyes gloss over and I get a headache if I'm looking at too much jewelry. And I know I try to do it sometimes. If I'm in the mood, maybe I'll get a little bit crazy and I'll grab some stuff. But when I'm at auctions, this stuff is going for the people that know what they're doing are getting it cheap. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm overpaying. So it's
Yes.
kind of like I start bidding and put my head up, but if they stop early, I don't. Dang it, I'm screwed, right? But because they might be buying to look for something, but if they're paying a little bit of money for it, it's because they know something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think when it comes to jewelry, so let forget about silver and gold for a second.
Yeah.
There's cosmetic jewelry,
Caution you. Yeah.
signed cosmetic jewelry.
Yeah.
And that's another category, very wide. And if you can learn it, but you have to have good eyes. And I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you. It's getting harder and harder to see that small stuff.
I put my glasses on for that, but
But yeah, if you're willing to, it's just one of those categories that's like perfect for online selling. It's like light, valuable, easy to ship, easy to take pictures of, and I don't do it. You know,
yeah.
I, you know,
Yeah, I'm totally there. So what I do is if I see a bunch of jewelry, how much for all this costume jewelry stuff? You know what I mean? I'll just kind of do
yeah,
that. And if it's cheap enough, I might grab it and we'll go through it. But yeah, like even then I usually don't do it because they want too much for it or I just don't really want to deal with it. So I might look for some silver or some gold stuff if that chain looks gold. You know what I mean? Or rings, like rings,
yeah,
especially the white gold because people might think it's silver and you can just grab it and it's 18 karat white, white karat gold, right? 18 karat white gold. I've done that. I picked up 4 rings once for $1 a piece. I think it was $3 for 4 rings, and 3 of the 4 were 18 karat gold.
oh my god, dude.
Yeah, yeah. So it was
just
like,
just uh just don't do what one guy did when I was at a garage sale. He was looking through the stuff. He went, "Gold!" He said it out loud, and it's
oh
like,
my
dude,
god, yeah,
yeah.
don't,
I don't think that the sellers didn't hear him, but it's like, dude, don't
yeah.
say it out loud. You should double, quadrupling the price or whatever. But yeah,
But
uh,
yeah. So jewelry is something that I need to pay more attention to. Just once I can develop an eye and I can see
yeah,
that maybe a couple pieces stand out and maybe it's worth checking out all of them because jewelry is usually bunched up together, right? So
it usually is. And like I said, it's like, dude, there's fake stuff out there though for gold.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And I know some of the older stuff's worth more. I know brooches can kind of sell, and I have the booth to back me up, right? So
right.
I know I bought a couple of jars before to try to look for like it was jars of gold or sorry jars of jewelry in a thrift store, and I thought, oh, maybe they missed some silver, some gold, and I'd look through it and then I just rejar whatever and then sell it in my booth. You know what I mean to make my money back and try to keep some gold pieces, but it's really not worth it because it's so
No,
time consuming.
it's not
Um,
for me either. Like, but it is definitely a category we're missing out on. I think I have a jewelry jar I bought once. It's just full of crap. And it's like, what am I doing
yeah,
here?
why am I doing this?
But it's like the gambling. It's like buying a lottery ticket in a way. It's like,
Yeah. So,
$9, maybe there'll be something. I've heard that if you're gonna buy those mixed jewelry jars, make sure there's at least one piece in there to pay you back,
yeah.
and then pick it up. But
And sometimes they throw watches in there. If there's an old watch in there, you're going to get $30 most likely even if it's not working. You know what I mean? So if you can get like a Bulova or a Seiko and it's an old men's watch and it's in there, pay your $10 and you can put that online, get 30, sometimes even more, right? So
Scott,
and if it is working, you're laughing.
that's the thing about this is so many category watches is probably another one of my guilt ones.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
ugh,
I'm starting to dabble in the watches for sure. But it's something that I wish I knew back in the day, and I wished I was picking them up.
yeah,
You know,
no, I don't.
but
I just,
mean, I'm sure we could go on and on and on, but I
sure.
think that kind of sums up a pretty good, chunk of items there.
Yeah.
Any more you want to add to that, Carl?
No, that's enough guilt for today, I think.
All right, Carl. So we're finished this show, podcast number 19. Next week, what are we going to talk about?
So they say, the best way to learn something is by teaching someone else. And then you find out if you really know something. So I think I know cameras. So
Okay.
I figure for our next show, what we're each gonna pick a topic, and then we're gonna teach the other person all about that topic, and then we'll find out how much we really know.
Well, I like that because I kind of have a rough idea of things to buy in cameras, but I really don't know everything there is to about testing them and probably even what cameras are better than others and why in age of camera. So I look forward to that. I would really like to be educated on cameras.
Yep. So
What is your knowledge like on war memorabilia, Carl?
I know nothing about it.
Okay, so I'll concentrate more on metals because
Right.
that's where I'm learning a lot in, so I can kind of school you on what I've know. I know I'm going to miss some stuff, so don't everybody say, Scott, you didn't say this, you didn't say that. But I've been studying a lot on the war metals,
Yeah.
so I've been fortunate enough to get a bunch in auctions. Most of it's going to be Canadiana stuff, but there's a few American stuff that I've also got. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be a video show. This is a talk show, so nobody can see the metals. But
Right.
I'll try to describe as best I can. But some of them can fetch pretty good values. Again, it's like jewelry; they're very small and easy to ship, and they're not breakable. However, they're kind of hard to find. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
unless I go to an auction, I really don't see them out there. So
Okay, that sounds really good.
okay, so there we go. That's our topics for next week. I hope everybody's interested in those things, and we can kind of share some knowledge. We'll also read some comments. So if you want to talk about those topics or the topics we did today, we can read them off in our next chats or our next segment and next week. And there you go.
Or if you have a subject you want us to talk about, we would love to hear it. We're always open to subjects to talk about on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're here every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We upload a new video, not only on YouTube, Carl, but we are also on
Spotify.
Actually, Spotify's been doing pretty good. We're getting a lot of good traction there. I would like to see a few more comments. So if you guys want to send some comments there on Spotify and on YouTube, it's audio only, but we have shows on both platforms, and we're there every Friday.
Excellent.
All right. So that's it for another show.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you later.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.